likely that it's going to happen before the election.
Kurt Bardella, it's Susan Del Percio here. In your role with the Oversight Committee, this is what I'm particularly curious about. The lawsuit did go against the president, but did it really mean anything in that he's been able to delay all the time? And not just with this case, but with other cases, he's basically told Congress that you have nothing to say over me, and his people aren't being allowed to go and testify in front of Congress. What can be done? It seemed like the Republicans got away with murder when they were doing it, and the Democrats aren't necessarily using, it seems like, their full abilities, or what's available to them, I should say.
You know, Susan, I think what we've seen is the best case why Democrats in Congress and in the House need to act to change the rules so that they have more enforcement authority of their congressional subpoenas. Congressman Ted Lieu, who's a member of the House Judiciary Committee, has put forward a proposal that has broad support from Judiciary Committee Democrats to change the House rules to give them actual enforcement power, that if you refuse to adhere to a congressional subpoena, that they could impose a fine up to $100,000 upon you if you don't cooperate with Congress. And I think that's something that House Democrats, they could pass that right now. It's a rule change. Doesn't require Republican support. Doesn't require consent from the Senate. Doesn't require the president's signature. That's something they need to do, because what we've seen is a failure of real-time oversight. The entire premise of checks and balances and having a co-equal branch of government is so that one branch can hold the other accountable in real time. It doesn't do you any good if that branch can say, you know what, we're going to do it the slow way. We're going to take the longest time possible. We're going to play for time. And while I agree with everybody that the decisions by the courts were a repudiation, a stunning repudiation of Donald Trump that's fairly unprecedented, it does allow the Trump administration to continue their strategy of playing for time. At some point, we all hope that we have this disclosure and this transparency, and we learn the truth about Donald Trump's finances and the broad depth and corruption of his organization. But it doesn't do the public as much good if that happens 6 months, a year, 2 years after he's left public office. These are things that we need to know right now as we ask people to make a decision about evaluating this president in just a few months. So I hope that Congress sees these rulings as the greatest incentive for why they need to act right now on Congressman Lieu's proposal and give themselves real teeth when it comes to oversight enforcement.
Neal, I take it from your reaction you agree with Kurt that Democrats need to be aggressive here.
100%. Kurt's words are music to my ears. Everyone should listen to this man. He's got it exactly right. I mean, look, Trump is the primary person to blame here. He's defied Congress in a way no president has, and the Supreme Court basically said that yesterday. But the House also bears some responsibility. They have not been nearly aggressive, and we're dealing with a really lawless administration, someone like Barr, who has been doing all of these shenanigans with U.S. attorneys and stuff like that, and they've just sat on their hands and not let him testify for month after month after month. Finally, he supposedly says he's coming to testify in a couple of weeks. I'll believe it when I see it. But, Kurt's right. And the Congress has an inherent subpoena power. It's part of their original constitutional design. It was kicked in at the founding. And the House of Representatives hasn't been using it. They don't need to go to the courts. They can do all of this themselves. Kurt's laid out the way.
So, Barbara, let's